That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
All right, guys, I owe y'all a massive thank you for all the support y'all showed on this video this morning. I mean, it was absolutely insane with how many people I saw have their notifications on for this channel. I mean, I think it's so y'all can get into the live streams early that we do every single night. But guys, if y'all don't have your notifications on for this channel, make sure you press the sub button, make sure you press the little bell next to it, and then you are going to be able to be notified whenever we go live every single night, so you can be one of the first people to join this stream, and you can guarantee your question getting answered, because y'all know I stream every single night, and I go in there and answer as many of your fantasy football questions as I can. But lately, we've been getting so many people attending the streams that I can really only get to the ones that I get early on in the stream, because at the end, we have, like 250 people in there, so it gets extremely hectic. So try to be one of the first people in there. But guys, I mean, I saw how many of y'all went out there and have those notifications on. I mean, within 4 minutes of the last video, we had over 100 views, and we had like, I think it was like 50 likes. I mean, it was absolutely insane. I've never seen anything happen to any video like that on this channel so far. I mean, but this just shows why y'all are the best fantasy football audience on YouTube and how we are just exponentially growing. I mean, we are getting hundreds and hundreds of subscribers every single day, which is not a big deal if you're an account that has 100,000 subscribers. But for an account that was only at about 2,000 a week or two ago, I mean, we are just growing. I mean, we are skyrocketing. So thank y'all so much for going out there and blowing up this channel. It's 100% because of y'all, and I'm going to continue to go out there and live stream every single night for y'all, answering as many questions as I can and pumping out nonstop fantasy football videos. That way we can try to dominate our leagues in 2020. Because guys, I mean, we have never experienced this kind of support for this channel, and I really, really appreciate it. But first, let me not waste any more time. Let's just jump into the 3 running backs that we should be going out there and trying to aggressively trade for in 2020. And I'm sorry, before week 3, not only in 2020, these are guys that I think have a great chance of drastically increasing their fantasy football value over the coming weeks for one reason or another. But regardless, let's get into them. And the first guy we are going to talk about is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And now, I mean, I did not think that Clyde Edwards-Helaire would make this list, just because, I mean, after Sunday, I saw everything that I wanted to see from him. I did not expect his fantasy value to dip, but going through these live streams and the questions that y'all are asking me in terms of trading Clyde Edwards-Helaire, every single time I find myself picking the Clyde Edwards-Helaire side, and y'all have asked me probably 100 questions about this running back over the past couple days, and I realized, whoa, I mean, the fantasy community is way too low on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. This is a running back that is stepping into the best offense in football. Yes, I mean, they did have a disappointing week 2, but they were going up against one of the top 3 defenses in the NFL in the Los Angeles Chargers, which, yeah, they have suffered a couple injuries, but we know that generally this defense is just loaded with elite playmakers at every single level. So I think that we can kind of just, I mean, we can wash away the week 2 for the Kansas City Chiefs, kind of just chalk it up to one of the worst games that they were going to have in 2020. I think that we are going to see them bounce back strong. And I mean, if we were looking at this backfield, we know that generally, year over year, when they've had Patrick Mahomes, I mean, the running back for this backfield is drastically outproducing other RB1s in fantasy. I mean, just look at when Damian Williams was the clear running back 1 and not having to split time with other running backs, and he was averaging like a touchdown and a half a game. That's how productive this offense is. And now we see that throughout all 2020, Clyde Edwards-Helaire has just been the last guy standing. Okay, let's go through everything that has happened in 2020 for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Okay, 1, he joins the most prolific offense in football. They spent a first-round pick on him. He was the #1 overall drafted running back in the 2020 draft class. Then the supposed starter in Kansas City ends up holding out due to COVID. We know that Damian Williams was a guy that a lot of people expected to get some work in this offense. And after seeing him hold out, Clyde Edwards-Helaire shot up draft boards, going from an early 2nd-round pick to going to an early 1st-round pick. And then, but there's still some people who have hesitations. They go, you know, they brought in DeAndre Washington earlier this offseason. DeAndre Washington played with Patrick Mahomes back in Texas Tech. Maybe this is a running back that gets usage early on. And then the Kansas City Chiefs go out there and do something extremely telling and just outright cutting DeAndre Washington, promoting Darrell Williams to the RB2 in this backfield. And we look at, in week 1, I mean, they wanted to split the backfield between Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Darrell Williams. But I mean, through the first half, after they reevaluated their situation, saw how productive Clyde Edwards-Helaire was being and compared to Darrell Williams, even though it was his first NFL game of his career, even though they had no preseason, they did not have the normal training length time, and Darrell Williams has been on the roster for a couple years now. They completely switched over to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who got the majority of the usage down the stretch in in week 1. And then we look in week 2, and Darrell Williams ends up getting hurt. So now they only have Darwin Thompson on this roster behind Clyde Edwards-Helaire, a running back that was drafted in day 3 last year. I mean, someone we should not project to get any work at all. So I am just all in on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yes, he did have a down week 2 performance, but this is no reason to devalue him. We know that he is an elite pass catcher out of the backfield, and after seeing that the Kansas City Chiefs were willing to go out there and give him goal line usage, I mean, there's nothing stopping Clyde Edwards-Helaire from being the #1 overall running back in fantasy in 2020 without Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey in the game. And now, I mean, the only guys that I would not trade for Clyde Edwards-Helaire at the moment at the running back position are Alvin Kamara, are Josh Jacobs, and I think that's about it. I would go out there, I would trade Derrick Henry for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I would happily move Dalvin Cook for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And yeah, I mean, you can continue to go down the line, but I mean, Ezekiel Elliott, Josh Jacobs, and Alvin Kamara, I think those are the only 3 guys you would not move for CEH. And based on the questions that I got during the live streams, I think that at the moment you can get him for less than these prices. So please go out there, make an offer for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And yeah, I mean, all I have to say is thank me after you do that. And after, I mean, we just see his usage and his production over the next 2 weeks. But now let's talk about a running back that I have on a ton of my fantasy football rosters. I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think I have on 1 or 2. So that's how you know that I'm not necessarily just a big fanboy of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I generally think that his value is just way too low at the moment. Miles Sanders, though, I think that maybe I can be a little bit biased because I have him on so many rosters. But we are looking at Miles Sanders, and what I like about this situation is he comes in week 2 after dealing with that hamstring injury, after not really participating with the Eagles over the past couple weeks. And I mean, they don't ease him back in at all. And this was one call that I got extremely correct in week 2. Pretty much when anybody asked me a Miles Sanders question, I said, hey, go out there, start Miles Sanders. This is a running back that is going to be the workhorse for the Philadelphia Eagles. And now this offense does not necessarily look as appealing as we once thought, but I think that we can see their offensive line continue to grow and get healthier because this was an offensive line that has been elite in the past. They're just plagued by injuries at the moment, but if they can improve, if Carson Wentz can come on and just prove to be half the quarterback that he was a few years ago, I think Miles Sanders in the usage that he should get, I believe he recorded over 20 carries in week 2, and we know that he has the receiving ability. So this is a player that I am pretty much all in on. I'm going to even be doubling down and going out there trying to acquire Miles Sanders. The only thing that we really have to be worried about is the fact that Miles Sanders is going out there and he's about to have a couple tough matchups. And yeah, I mean, that is one concerning thing. But regardless, this is a player that we should go out there and try to get. Now, the last guy on our list of 3 running backs is someone that just has a massive ceiling, and we're starting to see him get the usage, and this is Antonio Gibson. So Antonio Gibson, if you don't really know a ton about him, maybe you didn't follow fantasy football during the offseason like the rest of us, regardless, I'll fill you in. Okay, Antonio Gibson was a former wide receiver out of Memphis who proved to be the most electric player in college football in terms of the amount of big plays he was able to get whenever he did touch the ball. I mean, he did not necessarily have the volume in Memphis because he was kind of a gadget player, but he comes to the NFL level and he is moved to the running back position by the Washington football team. A ton of people are concerned. I mean, for a good reason. I was kind of all in before they even cut Darius Geis and we knew the Geis allegations. I was telling people throughout the offseason that Antonio Gibson was the better running back between the two because clearly, being a former wide receiver, he's going to have the pass catching ability. And if you look at his athleticism, I mean, it's up there with Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley. Antonio Gibson is an elite level athlete. If you don't trust me, just go look up his combine metrics. I mean, it's just off the chart. So Antonio Gibson, we know he's an elite level athlete. We know that he's actually very large for being a running back transfer. And we know that he has the ability to catch the ball. So with those 3 things, all we are left to ask is he going to get the opportunity? And we see that the Washington football team goes out there and they try to transition this running back position over to Antonio Gibson already in week 2. This is a player that's only been learning the position for a couple months now. So I think Antonio Gibson just has a ceiling that is going to be unmatched from the other players in his price point. So yeah, I mean, I think Antonio Gibson at this point, when we see his role starting to expand, very similar to how I told y'all to go out there and buy CeeDee Lamb after week 1, I think this is the week that you go out there, you trade for Antonio Gibson. Maybe it looks like you're overpaying a little bit at the moment, but 3 weeks from now, I mean, you're going to be looking back at that trade and you're going, oh, thank God I made that trade. Antonio Gibson right now is a high-end RB2. And a little fun fact, I mean, he has the highest amount of broken tackles per touch out of running backs that have, like, I believe, like 20 or so touches. I mean, he is looking dynamic. He's looking electric. And as soon as he continue, I mean, he's just going to continue to improve at the running back position because we know this is a raw player. And if he's already looking like he has this talent right now, imagine what he's going to look like a month from now. So yeah, to recap, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Miles Sanders, and Antonio Gibson. All 3 of these guys have the pass catching ability. All 3 of them are undervalued similarly. And yeah, go get these 3 players before your other fantasy owners in your league catch on. But thanks, guys. I really appreciate everyone coming out and checking out the video. Really appreciate if y'all made it this far. Please drop a like and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We are going to hit 10,000 subscribers a lot earlier than most people want to believe. And yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Have a great day, guys.